Hey guys, what I want to talk about today is to shed a little light into a question that I see come up from time to time, both when I've been on Reddit looking at discussions of SEO, sometimes in Quora, sometimes in the in-person conversations that I have with people, where they'll be going over advice that somebody has given, and they'll be like, well yeah, but Google says that, or this notable SEO blogger says, and then they say it as if to say, like, I don't know why you're suggesting the thing that you're suggesting when it is commonly understood that this or this is the case. I know it can seem reasonable to say, well, why would Google deceive people on their blog saying that these are the things that cause a website to rank if that's not true? And I don't think that's what's going on. I don't think Google is setting out to mislead anyone. It's just that. A lot of the SEOs I've ever heard of that have had the greatest success in the industry are ones that base most of what's in their toolbox on exhaustive testing and experimentation on their end. So they have access to really good tools, and they are consistently trying things. Maybe they're building sites on the side, not for clients, just to build them, just to try stuff, to break things, to experiment, logging carefully what is working, what makes a difference, what doesn't. One notable conversation I can think of where that came up is I was talking shop with a gentleman based out of Colorado that I respect. His name is Chris Walker, and like I said, we were just talking shop for a little while, getting to know each other. And something that he said in the conversation, I'm going to paraphrase, he said, I trust what I see work, not what I keep hearing other people parroting you should or shouldn't do. And there's a lot to that, I think. It's a great way to put it. To understand it here, it's really that it's fine if Google says you need to do something a certain way, but if your repeated testing and measuring contradicts that, then you don't really care what somebody else claims work, because you know when I'm doing what you said, I didn't rank as well as I needed to, and when I tried my other things, it made a big difference in my ranking. A lot of times it'll go the opposite direction though. It'll be like someone saying that something is amazing or is hugely beneficial. Maybe they even exaggerate it to the point of saying this is basically all you need to do on your site, and if you get this thing right, then it's going to be amazing. You might be in a position, if you've done that kind of testing over the years, to notice it doesn't make that big of a difference. For me, one example of that I can think of would be alt tags. So it's not to say that they're not important. Certainly when I'm in the foundational point of going through a website, making sure all the settings, all the back-end stuff, the core pages and the content itself is well set up before we get into adding a whole bunch of other stuff, especially if there's a big media gallery where they have a lot of photos. Sure, it can be helpful to spend an afternoon going through them and writing some really solid tags. And in some cases, I've seen that where maybe we ranked number 6 for something, we moved up to maybe number 4 or number 5 from spending a good amount of time really optimizing all the images on the site. And in other cases, it's like early on in a campaign with a site that doesn't rank at all, really, for a whole bunch of keywords we're looking at, and doing something like that helps put us on the radar. The way some people talk about it, where they've come into businesses and like that's the core of their strategy, they're basically saying, we're going to come in and we're going to do some bomb alt tags, and you're going to be amazed at the difference. I have just myself not found that to be true to that degree at all. And so it's definitely worthwhile to do, but that would not be at the top of things. But that goes into a point I've made before in videos, and particularly if this is your first time watching a video of mine, it's worth saying again, SEO is a game of quite a few cumulative wins. And so it's not a game about doing one or two things really well and then bam, your site wins at the top of search all the time. It's a game of getting a whole bunch of little things that matter right, and the cumulative effect that they all have when it's all done well can be really powerful. And so yes, doing things like alt tag optimization matters. There are other types of image SEO you can do for small wins. Optimizing your titles so that they're really strong, the content itself, good descriptions on things, making sure the content contextually really links to related topics within the site well to reinforce things. Yes, those are some easy examples of things you can do in a site that do matter, and the effect of getting all of those things right definitely makes a difference. But no one of those things is going to be the thing that totally makes a site rank in the top 5 or even number 1. I find that to be true even with links. That's a hotly debated topic in the industry. Some people think links don't even matter. If you're writing just good content, it ranks on its own. Other people purport links are so important that you almost don't have to worry about anything else in SEO, that if you're doing strong enough links to your site, then you're going to rank at the top anyway. But it's mostly important if we're talking about a really well optimized site with a good foundation that has already really good, well-written content. And well-written doesn't just mean grammatically or that it's laid out well. What they're actually talking about is authoritative and really useful, not just a fluff piece or something like that that happens to be optimized well for keywords. Content like that also has good links, yes, ranks at the top. I don't know that just getting either one of those areas right in itself is something you can always bank on. I hope that was helpful for any of you out there that might have been asking that kind of question or run into that yourself as you're learning, where you'll see a piece of advice and think that seems to contradict what I've heard elsewhere. It can be the case that there is a real pop culture, almost, if you want to think of it that way, aspect of SEO, and some of the leading content out there about it, it's either teaching old advice or it's teaching things in isolation without really giving you the how. And so it's feel-good advice that people can think they're following and then be confused when they don't always get the results they were hoping for, and it's not always for the reasons that you thought. So if you have questions about that, please put them in the comments below. I will answer them as best I can. And if you have ideas for other questions, other content that would be good to talk about, at the contact link on my channel. And I'll see about maybe making some future video content about it. Thanks, guys.